Hey, this is Tracy Lewis from Stuffin' Things. It's time for Paper Pumpkin. I had to go pick it up solo today, so I didn't get a video of it traveling with me. I am actually at my mom's this week. Last week we had our big snowstorm, and today I am joined with my mom who's crafting, so you may hear some cutting sounds. And then we have two big dogs, and one is Ella, who likes to snore, and she's actually over here in the corner. She's a boxer, so I then accidentally got my video started before I talked, stopped it, and then didn't get the recording. So this month's is I'll Be Yours. B is spelled B-E-E. And here's everything that's already apart because I had already taken it apart thinking I was filming when I wasn't. So the stamps for the month are Valentine themed. I think I'm going to use the set to do my Valentine cards for the month, but we'll see how well I like them once I get some alternatives going. The stamps are wishing you a lifetime of love, happy Valentine's Day, thank you, for you, with love, let's be friends, handmade, and be mine. With a bee, a flower cluster, a tulip, a big square of flowers, and a scalloped edge. And for parts and pieces, we've got hearts in two colors, floral and non-floral. We have some flat floral pink and lavender sequins that are sticky on one side, a bunch of little bee die cuts that I already cut out, circles, and then small rectangles, a whole bunch of fishtail tags, and we have the gift bags that are of pretty foil finish with flowers that I might be able to do something with, and small gift cards with matching small envelopes, and the envelopes are not decorated, they're just plain white. And there is baker's twine, a thin baker's twine like what's in the big catalog this year. 2 sheets of double-sided adhesive dots, mini dimensionals, and this month's spot is mint macaron. I'm not going to do the small gift tags and the gift bags. I'm going to start thinking about alternative A2 size cards, and then I'll be back once I have some ready to show you, and I'll come back with any grand ideas. I need to think about what products I think will mix well with this set. I brought to my mom's only new products from the mini catalog and celebration, so I don't even have all my stuff with me. So we'll see what I come up with, and I'll be back in a bit. All right, I'm back to share some different bits and pieces with you. My parents are in the room right next to us watching the news, so I apologize for that. And if it's too noisy, I'll just have to redo this after they go to bed tonight. So we'll see how it goes. I wanted to share with you my discoveries on the gift bag or the treat bags. They are very easily bent. As you can see, this is my attempt at tearing it apart like I would tear apart a normal envelope, and it did not go well. So what I found is the best way to separate the envelope pieces so that they stay fairly smooth. I grabbed a trimmer and I went ahead and just trimmed each of the 3 sides just barely. I started on this side, I believe, and I cut through all 3 sides. Then when I cut through all 3 sides, this is separate and the glued piece is still attached to the back. So I think realistically you can't probably use this back piece. So this looks pretty good if you want to be using it. That's the best way I have found to cut it and not bend or wrinkle at all. The very fine, it's a thin weight paper. So that's those envelopes. I have A trick with this very small trimmer, if you have one of these small trimmers, here's what I do. I usually always have floating around pieces of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So when I cut, this was a 6-inch. So when I cut the 6-inch, I cut it to 4 1/4, which is this outside edge. So I cut it down to 4 1/4. Then when I rotate it, I only need a half off. So I go ahead and I just ballpark when I see it, because you can't really measure. And then I saw that was the distance. So you can go ahead and slide in your blank to the 5 1/2 and then trim the underpiece. You could pull this out however you feel comfortable. Okay, then now I have this piece and I trimmed it visually. I was able to use the measuring and I trimmed it down to 3 3/4. So now I have another piece. This is a skinnier piece. So if I want to trim off this much, I rotate, and let's make sure that you are able to see what I am doing clearly. And I just go ahead and slide until it lines up and I can see that it is the width of what I just cut, this piece that's sitting underneath. And then I go ahead and close it, and then I can test it and see if the measurement all 4 sides is equal. So that's how I deal with a very small trimmer like this. All right, so I do have some components made. The main 2 mini catalog items that I chose to work with, and one item that I just think would be a good match is a SAB item. This particular set I think is a very good match, and I like the small size of the cat and the bird and the size of the flowers. And the other set is, let me find it. I pulled from Painted Poppies these 2 splats. I want to see how those work, as well as this. They're sitting out here to do some textures. And then for the paper, I am looking at the Painted Poppies, and I'll show you what I was looking at doing with that one. The small stamps that you get, I've been playing with. I did some simple stamping projects. This is a full sheet Be Mine option, assuming that we have black and green. If you have die markers, you can color these flowers 3 different colors if you had that available to you. And if it were me, I would probably be coloring them 3 colors, but I was trying to pretend as a beginning stamper that I had limited supplies. On the back here, I did a horizontal thank you using the block. You could even put the block in multiple places, kind of going off the edge. But the main thing to point out is that I like using a black marker to do the bee's path and wind it through whatever sentiment that you use. So this is just a concept that I think would be a fun concept to play with if you have limited supplies and you're just starting out. Black marker goes a long ways. I then have this sitting here because I'm playing with, I colored the floral elements from Grace's Garden to coordinate with the set colors. I did go darker. On the green I went to mint macaron, but I started with, oh sorry, that's a different color. So I used the mint macaron pens, light and dark. I have Flirty Flamingo light and dark and Rococo Rose light and dark. And it's the purple that I have, Purple Poppy, Purple Posy, dark and light, as well as Highland Heather that I used to color these flowers that you see here. So this particular one, I then also took from the dies that go with the painted poppies. I cut a green, black, and white swirls. I'm already kind of pre-planning more than just doing the alternatives, looking at what I would want to do to make my Valentine cards for my card pals. And so I like this. You could use Swirly Bird, which is a retired swirly pattern, and that would work nicely as well. And I did these are attempts at staying away from the Happy Valentines. And I really like the cat, and it goes very cute. On here, oops, taking him off the white, putting it on black, and then having an actual sentiment along the bottom here with love. You could do happy birthday for you from the set if you wanted, and you could do thank you, and the with love is just an added secondary sentiment in this case. So I'm playing with this one. This one I'm working on, and I have a second colored layer, so I'm going to work on that one. This hasn't been trimmed down, so I need to trim that down. I did also figure that I would play with the green stamped and see what I could come up with for that. And I haven't done anything with this little guy yet. I do have a thank you on the round that I've been throwing on just to see if I want to do anything with that. I don't want to have hearts on everything, so that's why I'm playing with other options, and I will hopefully come up with at least a couple more here as I dig deeper into the set and the ways I can work with it, because I do want to play with this green piece as well as this piece. I want to do some more cutting and maybe layer this, turn this into a sentiment label or something like that. So I will be back soon with more ideas and possibly actually be ready to put things together for us and do a final review. All right, I've come up with some alternatives, not as many as I would like. It's getting kind of late here, and I feel like I'm sneaking around while my parents are sleeping, and so I just thought I would get this done, but I do have two things to show you. I noticed that the yellow lined shapes, we have circles and a small rectangle, are not centered, and that bothers me. I like everything to be lined up, so my workaround, should this bother you as well, is to just go ahead and snip off the ends. So the rectangle's pretty easy to fix. However, the circle is not quite as easy to fix, so I'll show you. I actually made myself use it in a design, and that's the one I will show you first. A lot of these are still, they're not together yet, so they're pretty much mix and match. This is the piece that I built for a vertical card, and I just covered the fact that it's wider at the top by putting a bow on top. So that's an easy fix also for the circle. You could also even punch a hole if you wanted and have it hang and tie the bow through the hole. That would also cover. So there's two ways to fix the circle. And this one, I have a couple of different backgrounds that I created. I did a lot of embossing like I usually do. I like kind of that extra depth. I did not use the subtle embossing folder. I use that a lot, so I stayed away from it and made myself use one folder that I've never used before. and you'll see that shortly. This one is one that I use quite a lot. I went ahead and sponged mint macaron on the inside top and then ran it through and then sprayed some water on it to get a little more variation in the coloring. So then this piece fits together like that, and I haven't thought about adding pearls or rhinestones or anything. The sequins that come with the kit are not really too interesting, but you know, we could just throw them on there just to see if it would be okay. There's enough going on that I could see. Just placing them randomly. And this one, if I did that, I would want this down further. This is already cut down, so it'll have a very thin, here, a thin white border when I put it on the base. So I think that that is totally fine and not as elaborate. My others are a little more elaborate. And for me to give this to a card pal, I will remove the thank you and it will be a Be Mine or Happy Valentine's Day of some variety, but probably Be Mine, and I might swap this out for one of the rectangles. So that is that one. Then I have this fun component, which I made more fancy, and I love the cat staring at the bird, and I've been watching this YouTube video series called Odd Couples, and it's from, I think, the Dodo, and it's mostly all animal stuff. And there are videos of a bird and a cat bonded, and they hang out together all the time, and so I thought that that would be very cute and would be perfect for either an animal lover, somebody who has a cat and a bird, or implying that it's an odd couple that this is being given to. So now what to put this on. I have some different backgrounds to just show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you my favorite. So this could easily go on black and look really pretty. It could even have a little bit more put on. This is a full size. I have not trimmed this black background down at all. This is just, I had this out to coordinate, and it could with another layer be fine, and then also with some sort of a embossed on the pretty peacock. I then have this background that I showed you trimming it up earlier, and I think that is spectacular. I absolutely love it. So then I trimmed this down to 3 3/4 by 5, and I have a couple of different options to show you. First, I'm going to show you like a really a very light. This is the Pretty Posy. I always get that one wrong. I don't have it around for me to cheat and look at. So the lightest lavender posy color is one option. I don't like that as well as some others. I haven't put it on this yet. So this is definitely totally doable. And that could be ending up, I hadn't tried it yet, so I really like that a lot. I did one of these with the new, there's a new Parisian embossing folder. And I like that okay, but it doesn't really do as much for me as what my favorite is, which is this country floral that I actually used Rococo Rose, sponged Rococo Rose, so that's why there's some depth that you're seeing. And I know it's a sad thing to cover it all up, but for whatever reason, I just really like the way this looks. I think it looks just very classy. And I wouldn't even mind a really thin strip of black. So now that I've put black behind this and I really like it, I'm going to have to explore that. But this component I really like, and I made it extra fancy. So that's that one. Then I made this one, which isn't as together as the others, and I could see adding 2 rhinestones on the 2 swirly. So let's talk about this swirly piece here. This is from the Poppies bundle that I bought, and I ended up not using any of the poppy stamps or dies besides this one. So the bundle is called Painted Poppies, and it has in it some cutouts, and then it also has these various labels, and this round one. So this round one fits perfectly on the small card, gift card size. So if you cut this into 2 pieces, then you can use this, and I made a black circle, the green circle, and the white circle using the white. So this is using like almost 100% of the material for the card, which is awesome. The swirly bird has some other swirls, and that's a retired swirly product, dies from Stampin' Up. And that would work really well too. You could also just use circle dies. I did use the scalloped circle for making the silver, and a circle of the right size would go fine behind these little hearts. I just liked the added dimension of the swirly part of the circle. All right, so that takes care of showing that part. And this one I had put on a couple of different ones. You know, it would be okay with a little more work on here. I'm envisioning it actually being centered with the added rhinestones I talked about, with a little edge cut off and having white. And if I wanted to add a sliver of, there's the sparkle glimmer that is no color, and then there's also the silver glimmer that I've been playing with, and I could add a little bit of that, but I'm probably not going to go with adding glimmer as a third bit, just a little bit of white on the end. And the color I really like, which is also using the Country embossing folder, I really like this a lot. So one of the things that I have not done any of is where you cut down the middle here and then you fold back and you have smooth cardstock, and then this could be in a little bit further, and then white would show in the corner here. So I might play with that a little bit, but this is definitely going to be the embossing folder, or the color that I use, and the embossing folder in some shape or form, even if I do some cuts. So that's that one. And then I made more of a fun one. I really wanted to use this envelope, and so I showed you how I just trimmed barely around the 3 edges, and then I crinkled this and sponged the edges and tore it a little bit here and there, and I have it taped to this really heavy vellum. Stampin' Up's vellum is extremely thick and dense and curvy. It's on with dimensionals, And then on the back, I used Terran tape and the color. Oh, then I had it just like this on the black, which I'll show you. And I thought it needed more. It kind of looks like a piece of art to me. But then I matched, so this foil, I went ahead and stamped the happy birthday. I may or may not have put this on an earlier video, but I don't like the mint macaron next to the foil because it just looks a little bit dirty. And so I went ahead with a brighter color and found a match. And this, I believe, is Coastal Cabana. So if I take this nice layer and put it on the Swirls and Curls embossed folder, I really like that. And I'm going to do one rhinestone right here. I'm going to do that right now. I meant to do it before. So those are my 4 more elaborate ones, and I already talked about the 2 basics that I did. I did use them on the one piece of cardstock because I didn't bring enough Whisper White to do a bunch of cards, and I do want to do more cards while I'm at my mom's this week, so I'm conserving. And the 4, as I've talked about them, going to look. And of course I got to put a lot more assembly. And that will have to wait for them in the morning, so these are my elaborate ones. I tried to stick with some different shapes. I tried to use all of the different label shapes, both of the different hearts, as well as the very small rectangular with the yellow and the circle with the yellow line, and the bees, got the sequins, and I do have the purple sequins floating around here that I could add possibly to this particular arrangement once I get it all cut up and figure out how I want that to be arranged. You'll see I did use 3 of the different circles. I used 1 of the green squares and the big square stamp. There could be a lot more done with that. And so hopefully this gives you some good ideas for working on your own alternatives, and I gave you some hints and tips with working with the different products that were provided in the supplies. I tried to stick with the baker's twine, so on all of these I just used the baker's twine and didn't go with any other trim. And I really like this kit a lot. This one right here is by far my favorite. I really like all of them actually, and I can't wait to build them up and swap them around to be Valentine cards. I probably have plenty of material to make. I think I usually make 14 or so, just to my card pals and immediate family who I know would appreciate a card. So I'm excited, and I hope you guys are excited about this one too. I think it's very pretty. Thanks for watching.